We know they rewire in 1932. They brag about it. It's in their minutes that they send to the governor. You get switches like we're used to, wires and metal conduits because the wall is brick and plaster. You can't hide the wires. But they keep that cabinet, perfectly good cabinet. Waste not, want not. They don't really preserve history. They just don't throw it away. Now, how lucky is that? Slide trays, a couple of them pulled out. They're original. Stored back here in a piece of furniture. I always tell the children you could put your CDs in that, you know, put it right in your living room. But they don't want any of this old stuff, so they just simply abandon it. And we got it, so. All right. In the hallway are some advertisements from patent medicines. They're kind of interesting. And if you would like to be seated while you can, go right ahead, but you kind of leave that available to them. This gets to be a long tour.
Herbal accident.
This, of course, is Yale Library, and you can kind of guess what's going on here. The photograph is wonderful. They're way out in the country, so they use these combination gas and electric chandeliers, and that's a particularly good picture of it. By 1932, it's not country any longer, and the chandeliers look old-fashioned. They don't want to be old-fashioned, they want to be modern. So they take the old things down, they put up these modern globes. They paint out the fussy old-fashioned stenciling. They take up the floor covering you see in the picture and put this down, but the chair behind the desk is still right there behind the desk. It's not the same desk, but it's the same vintage. The table next to the desk, however, is the same. Book stand is back there, bookcase is against the wall. That's the painting. The painting shows you Philippe Pinel. He's the fellow in the two-cornered hat, father of modern psychiatry, first prominent physician to say people in asylums need to be treated and not shackled. They won't get better this way. They need a humane treatment. You can see the fellow in the center is taking some ironwork from around a woman's waist. Women on the side are handcuffed and chained to keep them from hurting themselves or anybody else. People on the other side, they're just visitors. They would come to visit the asylum the way we go to the zoo to see animals in the cages. Then they come home and say, oh, the poor dears. And then they have tea. And Dr. Pinel says, for heaven's sakes, you're not going to get better this way. They need a humane treatment. So this gets to be quite famous. This is a reproduction. The original painting's in Paris. It's in the hospital where they took Princess Diana after her fatal automobile accident. And we don't tell the children that. They don't know who Diana is. That always makes me feel old. But she's been gone 11 years. Fourth graders are 9. They don't know who you're talking about. So just kind of leave that out. So you'll see that this also in psychology textbooks. Here are the hospital grounds. This is Central State, 1923, 160 acres, almost nothing here that still stands. Here we are right here. So this gigantic structure was right there where the fence is. That was the women's department. That's a building they used to call 7 steeples. Even though it actually has 8 steeples, you could only see 7 because 2 of them would line up in front of the other. This is the original building, 1848, a wing for men, a wing for women. The female population gets so large, this comes down in 1974. There's a fire and loss of life at that time. They start the building in 1876, it comes down 98 years later. This comes down in the 30s. What's out there now went up in the early 70s. And these are patient dormitory buildings. There are 3 of them on the campus. They're 2-story, flat-roofed, ugly, and full of asbestos. So probably no hope for those. City owns all this property. We have a 99-year lease, and it's renewable for another 99, so we're in good shape. But the city